What's in a name? Well, if you're a first-time writer, it could be up to 50% of your potential book sales. Consider this video a case study on how I used online research to confirm my gut feelings. And hey, my name is Carrie. I'm a writer, a filmmaker, and a creative. And I'm taking people on this journey from a pilot that didn't sell to a successful novel. You really need a strong title, something that's going to cut through the noise, grab a reader's attention, and be accurate in delivering for what it promises to an audience. On the other hand, you don't want it to be like clickbait, but that's what a lot of titles are right now. You want a title that's searchable, something distinctive enough so that you don't get 60 books that are similar in name. Compounding this problem is I'm a no-name author. It's not like this book is number 3 out of a series of successful 4, or a comic book. Sorry, graphic novel. I don't have a ready-made audience. I'm starting out cold. The title and the cover art, well, they work together. Cover art supports the title, but cover art is a whole other issue, and it's something that we're gonna cover in another video. Now, if we get the title wrong, chances are that book is still gonna stay on the shelf. Now, there are some writers who like to come up with the title first and then proceed with their story. You're gonna see that a lot, especially when you're writing a book series. I mean, look at Ian Fleming. A lot of his novels came from the title. And I mean, the guy came up with some amazing titles. Originally, my story was a pilot. And when I finished, I came up with the title Risk Reward. Because this was for TV, and it was short and punchy, and it referred to financial and political terminology, I thought it was something that would grab a viewer's attention. At the time it was written, I kind of knew where it was going, but I didn't know specifically where it was going to land. In a manuscript, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. I know where this thing is going. As a result, the title just didn't work. It didn't speak to the novel's thriller elements. It didn't refer to the characters and the games that they played, not only internally but externally, when money and power are on the line. In this book, the main character is Lauren, but there are a lot of other prominent characters, so much so that it almost felt like an ensemble piece. And I wanted a title to reflect that. I had this sort of sing-songy memory going back to Sergio Leone and Peter Greenaway. Sergio Leone had the good, the bad, and the ugly. And Peter Greenaway had this film in the 90s, The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. And there was something about that title, something that just really stuck with me. I mean, I really liked it because it's almost like a poem. There's something very rhythmic about it. And there's this feeling that if you get through the title, there's a good chance you're really gonna like the film. Ironically, I didn't. I really hated the film, but I loved the title. What if I used that same idea for this manuscript so that when you buy this book, it's gonna be obvious that it's about the girl, her boss, his suit, and the gun. And then I started to think, well, what if I took that title and I refined it more, built on its alliteration? Something like shark, shaman, suit, gun. And to me, that felt very Elmore Leonard. I was like, oh, this is interesting. But I got a lot writing on this title. In the midst of this, I was still dancing with the idea of risk reward. And I felt like there's gotta be something in that title that's going to work for the manuscript. It sounded like an MBA textbook. So after some play, I came up with factors of risk. Honestly, it sounds very homogenized. It sounds like my impression of what the title of a financial thriller would be if I was making a financial thriller. I mean, it was almost a parody of itself. Then there was the competitor. I know this guy who's a screenwriter and he's getting into fiction, and he was starting a series of books. And the first one was titled Rule 1. I really liked the way that he married the title to the cover art. I mean, it felt like a book, professional. It felt like this is a book series that I've heard of before. Now granted, my book's nothing like it, but that's what I liked about his title, was the familiarity. It alluded to these steps, and obviously there was a mystery. Now what's great about my book is the main character, Lauren, uses an internal algorithm to get through a challenge. As she was mapping out her life as a teenager, she was figuring out the steps it would take to get from a small Texas town to Wall Street. One of those steps was step 4, everything else. The title was out of the text, so I'm not just copying somebody. And it sounds like it's alluding to something sinister, something bigger than herself. Maybe this works. Maybe this is a good one. And then I started to think, can I make it simpler? And that's how I came up with step 4. But is it punchy enough? Is it interesting enough? I mean, honestly, I didn't think so, but every time I think I know where the market is, I turn out to be wrong. So I should at least look at this. And finally, there's the title I call the organic choice. I was on a phone call with my editors and I was describing to them what I was coming up with in terms of titles and what I was thinking. The girl, her boss, his suit, and the gun. It resonated and they were interested, but they also spoke immediately to what they thought was the shortcoming. It's really long, tough for people to search on, tough for people to remember, and it's gonna be real easy for them to juxtapose words and misunderstand and put them in different orders. And it's not like all the words that I'm using are distinct enough on their own that if searches get them out of order, they'll still be able to find the title. But I still loved it, and I didn't want to give up just yet. But as we were discussing things, and look, this is where I get to rewrite history. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 70-30% sure that I'm the one who came up with this idea. Since I'm the one who's making this video, and I am the writer, I'm going to say it was my idea. When we were talking it through, the plot and all this kind of stuff, Redemption Window just came out. And I was like, that's it. That's the title. Now, I didn't automatically rename it Redemption Window and leave it at that. But I was like, I know this one sticks. I know this one has some power. But I mean, it can't be that easy, right? What makes it a great title for me is it's a term from the book. It's a financial deadline. It drives the actual plot. Not only that, it suggests a spiritual component to it. It suggests that there's a fleeting amount of time that has to be dealt with. I mean, at the end of the day, it felt right and it stuck. But like I said, I got a lot riding on this title. And so if I choose the wrong title, it's gonna be a problem. Enter Randy Dickerson. He's an old friend, a sometime business partner, but on top of it, he's a fine artist and a design guru. And he's really great at helping people figure out where they want their work to go creatively. And I was telling him my issues with the title, and he was like, hey man, I know a way we can test this. So Randy knew about this online user experience testing application to get people to rank titles. We got a bunch of people we knew, and just random people off social media, and we got them to come to this website. And it's very bare bones in appearance, almost like a PowerPoint presentation, but with just text. And it takes you through a scenario. So it's not like I just gave you 6 titles and was like, hey, which one do you like the best? It was like, we're gonna put you in a scenario and we're gonna ask you to consider a lot of factors as we go. First thing we said was, imagine you're in a bookstore or you're in an airport newsstand and you wanna buy a book of fiction, and the only thing you can go on is the title. Which one of these would you choose? Now, what was great about Opinion X was it randomly presented your options. So no matter how I put in the titles, each user got a different listing. So there wasn't any kind of bias. So I gave them the 6 titles that we had narrowed it down to. There was Redemption Window, The Girl, Her Boss, His Suit, and the Gun. There was Shark, Shaman, Suit, Gun, Factors of Risk, Step 4, and Step 4, Everything Else. So after they got these titles and they ranked them from 1 to 6, 1 being the one they liked the best, we asked them to describe it. Can you describe what you think this book is about given just the title? So we got some interesting responses. Everything from redemption and forgiveness for a relationship gone bad to a spy thriller with a Jack Ryan-esque character. But we also got a lot of variations on I have no clue. After we asked them to tell us what they thought it was about, we told them what it was about. We gave them a short synopsis of the book. And then we asked them, hey, now that you know what the book is about, does your choice for a title match? Fortunately, in most cases, the answer was yes. And obviously, there were some no's. But we got some interesting responses too. Something snarky along the lines of, I'd say pretty well if you forgive my sexism, to variations of, I don't even remember what I chose. So, what were the results? I'm happy to say that my gut was vindicated. Redemption Window was number 1 at 61%. But what I was super excited about was number 2 coming in at 54%. The Girl, Her Boss, His Suit, and the Gun. So it's like, I could probably make this title work, maybe in a sequel or something else in this character's universe. Factors of Risk was a distant 3, coming in at 35%. So those top 2 were pretty close. The loser of the group coming in at 26% was Step 4. Apparently, it was just as bland as I thought it was. So I'm glad I took another trek. It helped me realize that going for a title that sounded like it came from a marketing agency or a public relations firm isn't going to work. So like I said, we used Opinion X. I've got the links down below. Give it a shot. It'll help, especially if you're trying to figure out a naming convention or you're trying to rank something. And hey, if you like this video, stick with me. I've got more stuff coming. We're gonna go through the cover art and that process and how we used Opinion X to rank those. And then we'll talk about the whole marketing strategy and why I've decided to self-publish instead of going with a traditional publisher. So again, my name is Carey, and if you like this video, please share it and subscribe.